Hi Lisa, thanks for accepting this interview and talking about your business, catering business. So yeah, so happy to have you here.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Natasha.
So let's start. Tell me more about yourself, about what you're doing exactly as catering business.
Okay, well, I've actually been traveling for the last 5 years, living in different countries. Um, I'm a musician, that's my first job. But I started getting into vegan cooking when I transitioned to a vegan diet when I was living in Vancouver. And so I started experimenting and learning how to cook proper vegan meals. So when I moved to Greece, I was confident by that point about my skills, and I started hosting a monthly dinner through a website called Taste Please, and it's a social media platform where people book a seat at your dinner and then come and you meet new people, and it's just a really nice idea. And so I was cooking a different theme every month, and I did this for 6 months. And then at that point, I was also ready to take individual orders. People started to get to know, who I was. And having done this in Athens, Greece, it was not a very common thing. So I was actually the first person to host vegan dinners at my home. And so I thought, I need to start a business, have a name. So I call myself Veganopolio, which means a place of vegans. So obviously it's a Greek word, and it's also a play on the Greek restaurants called Mesodopolio, which is small plates that you have in a restaurant, and you usually have those with a drink of citro, which is a really strong liquor. So I've sort of played on that word, and then so I did some catering from there on.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and how did you come up with the idea of veganizing the dishes from all over the world? Not only the catering, but veganizing the dishes.
Because I travel so often and I like to immerse myself wherever I am, I want to feel like a local, I noticed that as a vegan, I was restricted in some ways. If I was to eat at a local restaurant with traditional food, often all I would have was a salad or the chips or bread. And that's not a cultural experience, right? And I thought, oh, this is disappointing, I would love to have the food. And so what I did was started researching the dishes that they were offering and just simply started veganizing them. And I found that doing that in each country that I was in made me feel like I wasn't missing out on anything. Also understanding the culture and where the food comes from, because the food has a history too and has influences from other countries. And thirdly, the food is often cheaper to make there. So if you're making a particular dish in that country, the ingredients are cheap because a lot of people make that particular dish. So as an example, in Croatia, I made cabbage rolls. If I was to make that here in London, those rolls would be more expensive because not many people make them. So it's a win-win-win. And expanding my knowledge and appreciation of the cultures that I'm in and the countries I'm visiting as I go.
So for your catering services in general, you adapt to the country where you are. Yeah, is that right? Like if you're in London, for instance, and you're offering or someone is asking you for catering services, then you will do veganized English dishes, yes?
Not necessarily. It actually just depends. So in Greece, I was catering for a cat charity, and I wanted to, because my business Veganopolio tastes of the world, because I like to cook different dishes. I actually prepared 5 dishes for that event, and one of them was Indian food, another one was Asian food. So I just want to give people a little bit of a different, a taste of the world there, because in Greece, I find a lot of the food is just Greek.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's not many different influences, and even Greek people like to eat things that are not Greek, you know. So I did it there. But in Croatia, I did just traditional food because in Croatia, I could not find veganized traditional food.
Okay.
It was burgers and wraps and salads. It was basically fast food or food that catered to a mainstream kind of Western diet. But I wanted to personally try Croatian poppy seed cake or Croatian spinach pie or, you know, as I said, the cabbage rolls. So I did an event there and I cooked completely Croatian traditional dishes, and people really appreciated that because they were not able to try those dishes vegan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. And people like for your business, usually your clients are more vegans, or is it vegans and non-vegan, but who would enjoy to try something vegan?
Yeah, I would say most of them are not vegan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there are some flexitarians, they call themselves. They eat mostly vegan, but then they'll, you know, flex, change, you know, accordingly. But yeah, even in my dinners in Athens, Greece, they were mostly non-vegan who were just interested in vegan food, interested in healthier alternatives, and even those who were just cutting back on meat and dairy. And so, you know, I work really hard to make sure that the food is really good because I want to show and prove to people that we are not missing out and that we have so many flavors and that you can eat an entire meal and not miss the cheese or the meat in it because there's so much happening on the plate. So yeah, that's been my my aim, I guess.
Okay, so that was my next question. In fact, what's your goal? It's this, like to show people that yes, that they will not miss any animal product when they are eating vegan. Is that your goal?
Yes, it is my goal, but I guess I could add to that that I also want to bring the world to the plate. You know, I'm passionate about traveling. I've traveled to 70 countries now, and I don't intend on stopping. And I love to bring the flavors of these places that I visit to people, you know, to expand their knowledge and their taste buds and to appreciate other cultures too. So I get such joy from trying these different dishes, and then, you know, being able to share them. So yeah, I guess they're my main goals.
Okay, that's nice. 70 countries, you beat me. It's not easy to find people who have traveled that much. Yeah, and that's so nice that you're putting all those experiences that you had traveling in all those countries in one plate, as you say. I like this sentence, bring the world to your plate.
Yes.
And so you were talking about the different customers, vegans and not vegans. What are they like feedback afterwards, after trying your services?
I guess they're always surprised at how tasty the food is and how satisfying it is. You know, I got some really great feedback from my dinner event in Croatia. I hosted an event for 20 people there in Split, and the theme was dinner around the world, and it was digital nomads in each city around the world getting together.
Mm-hmm.
And I had 3 Croatian local people there, and the rest were expats, and they were saying to me, I didn't think tofu tasted good, or I can't believe don't say anything, but this is better than my grandmother's. And I was like, what? I couldn't believe it. I'm like, you know, you're just saying that. And they're like, no, really, this is fantastic. I can't even notice that these things are missing. So that was really satisfying for me, you know, that these people eat meat all the time, you know, and it's customers that I had, but they were very happy with what I created. So I felt really good about that, you know, because ultimately, you know, I would love to see less meat being consumed in the world for obvious reasons, environmental and, the cruelty to animals. It would just be great if we all cut back, and even better, go vegan, but, let's just stick with, it would be great, and so I'm happy to see also healthier foods, to improve our health, because eating more legumes and beans and vegetables is so important for our diet, so I do encourage that as well.
Okay. And yeah, what are the biggest challenges for you in your business, like offering vegan food?
Well, I guess the biggest challenge is for a caterer who doesn't actually own a house or a kitchen. It's kind of funny that, I could have a business and I don't actually have a workspace that is mine, but I'm often cooking and creating in other people's kitchens or Airbnb kitchens, and so my biggest challenge is not having the right equipment and having to adapt. I'm always having to adapt. It's so funny going into a kitchen and they don't have a carrot peeler, or just like simple things like this. I never expect a blender. A blender is a luxury item, and I would love to have a blender or food processor, but never expect one. But when you're missing just a simple thing like a cheese grater, like I use for either vegan cheese or for zucchini or something. So then you just go, okay, how do I adapt to this? And then I guess the other thing with catering is what I found, obviously large groups and having to do all the cooking myself and preparing myself. So that can be quite challenging as well. And certain ingredients can be difficult to get in certain places, or they're very expensive. And of course, as a caterer, where trying to keep my costs down, I can't really afford to go and buy certain products because then it'll cost me too much money. So an example being nutritional yeast, for some reason, is ridiculously expensive in Croatia. It's 3 times the price than it is in London. So I didn't use it there, because I was like, well, it's not cost effective. So yeah, all these little challenges that come up, but I think personally I like a challenge. So it keeps me on my toes, keeps my brain moving. So.
Okay, nice. And you were talking about the cost and everything and how to adapt. Do you have like one menu, or someone who is looking for catering services, can they design the menu with you, or is it going for menu?
Because I've been, I guess, self-training and cooking a variety of foods from all different cultures, I'm actually happy to make whatever someone asks me to make. And often I do. When I was in Greece in April, I was asked to cater for a small dinner party, and she said to me, I'd like to have Middle Eastern food. So you can take it where you will. And I said, okay, so what I will do is I will prepare 4 dishes from 4 different countries in the Middle East. Because I like to, keep it fresh for me too. So that's what I did for her. I made a jeweled rice from Iran. I made a shorba soup from Turkey, these kind of things. So, I am happy to adapt to the client's requests, obviously, as long as it's doable, because sometimes it can be quite tricky, but yeah, generally it's fine.
Okay, and are you always saying that you have veganized the dishes, or are you sometimes just saying, okay, it's a healthy dinner, or or are you always saying that it's plant-based?
I guess I always say it's vegan. I know that sometimes the V word has a little bit of negative connotations these days, but I guess not all the dishes are veganized because they're naturally vegan as well. When I did a Greek themed dinner, I did a lot of mezes, and they were naturally vegan. you know. So it was only one dish that I actually veganized. You know, used plant-based cheese or cream to create it. So yeah, it's a mixture of both. And when I cook, I don't. I try to use minimal oil. I don't deep fry. I always try to make it quite balanced. So there is a lot of vegetables with grains, healthy grains, and beans for protein, nuts and seeds. So it's you know, I guess even what you could call it macrobiotic in that sense. I occasionally work with mock meats and cheese, but I try not to. If I have my own kitchen where there is a blender, which I did in Greece, I will make my cheeses from scratch. I'll make everything from scratch, including tofu. I will make tofu from scratch. Yeah, unfortunately, when I'm traveling and I can't always do that, I have to buy, you know, the cream from the store. But, you know, if I was to make the cream at home, I would make it from cashews perhaps, or a blend of cashews and coconut milk. So yeah, it's all, I guess, depending on where I am and that kind of thing.
Okay, nice. And what about, so we talked about the challenges, what about the joys and successes you had with your catering services?
I think the biggest joy for me is just seeing people happy. You know, I'm a musician as well, so I know that I'm doing my job properly if there are happy people in the room. And that's, I guess, you know, to have a job like that where people, you know, are enjoying themselves because of something that you're doing is a success in itself. So for me, that's my number one, I think, just happy people.
Okay, that's nice. I think that's a nice way to finish this interview with saying that your goal is to have happy people. That's very nice.
Thank you.
So thanks very much for replying all those questions, and I'm sure that after seeing this, a lot of people will be interested in your services. I know you travel a lot. So if someone is interested to have you in a place, are you saying where you are usually so that people can see your work and tell you, yeah, okay, right now you're in London. Can you do a dinner for me in London, or how is it working for you so that people who are looking know how to find you? You know?
Yeah, this is something I have to work on. You know, updating my location, but and I should do that on my website too, and my Instagram, Facebook. I can be contacted through either three of those things, through Veganopolio. And yeah, I can tell people where I am up to 2 months in advance. Sometimes I don't generally know beyond that, believe it or not. I only just booked a flight to Mexico in October, so and I don't know where I'll be after that. So yeah, so I will. That's a great idea. I think I should have a little map or something, and say, you know, a little flash for where I'm coming to next. You know?
Yeah, with the date, because people then can see and they are interested in your in what you're doing, so they then tell you and they contact you. But okay, for now, I will anyway put the link, and they can write you, they can find you on your website, write you a direct message, and then you see which date you are at their place, right?
Yeah. I mean, because I like to, I love meeting new people too. You know, I love, you know, just I'm a social person, a very social person. So I love doing these dinners because sometimes if I don't actually cook outside the house and bring it to them, I will cook in their house. You know, I'll bring my ingredients and I'll cook, you know, and do a little private dinner party, you know, and it's really nice after I've done all the work, you know, I can sit down and have a glass of wine with them and, you know, because I generally stay, you know, if they can invite me, and it's just a really lovely thing. I make new friends in new cities. So, you know, and also I guess I do like doing the charity thing as well. So especially for animal causes or, which is the two charity events I did one in Portugal and one in Greece for animal causes. So if there is an event where I can, help out, I can do that too. So yeah.
Okay, I will make sure to mention it as well for animal causes. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so thanks very much and talk to you another day.
Thank you so much, Natasha.
Bye bye.